one of the things that I have done, I actually have tried to adjust my streaming schedule, and part of that is mainly because uh, over on Twitch, we got to be careful on how many hours we stream, especially if you're trying to go for affiliate or partnership. They actually do look at how much you stream and comparative to how many viewers you have. So, like myself, if you love streaming, great. It's also important to have viewers though while you're streaming. So I wasn't paying attention to that. Oh, that's back too far. I wasn't paying attention to that when I started off. So my problem right now, and I mean I don't mind showing people it. Get over here. Do, 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 do. I don't mind showing how badly I've been. How bad of a streamer I've been. Terrible, terrible, terrible streamer. Let's go there. So, I have gotten it down quite a bit, but I used to have that number right there almost to 200. Yeah, that's currently within the last streaming of 26 days. I have 105 hours streamed. I had almost 200 hours streamed. As you can see, this number's finally moved. It used to be 0.03 for a viewer. It wasn't even a 1 for a viewer. It was 0.03. So this is starting to move, and this is currently with some other bad stuff, some bad stream times in there. If you can see, from here onward, so end of June back, all bad stream times. You can see I have days of spikes. I mean, 5.4. I mean, I'm averaging about 3 right now. Um, some of this has been the issues where it doesn't count, which is why we got blank days. It wasn't counting anybody on those stream days. That Tuesday, this is one of the things that has been implemented on my schedule. That is deliberate. I don't stream on Tuesdays now. This is because I've found that that's one of my days I have the least amount of viewership. I can go back and I can look. Tuesday was a zero point 0.8 viewer, and I streamed for 4 hours. I only had a zero point 0.8 viewership. Go back. Tuesday, 1 viewer. So they're not really that good of a viewer day. So, but yeah, that's kind of something to be aware of is looking at your analytics, statistics, all that kind of stuff. So, but that, put that back where I had it. What I did though, that helped me figure all of that out. I went into a couple places, and I'll show you the result first so that you can kind of see. Uh, yeah, bright white backgrounds. I forgot how to change that. Hold on. Change that background. Because that's really bright. Okay, that there. Oh, I need to go fix something real quick because I'm losing my viewer. There we go. better. Yeah. Oh well. All right. I'm gonna go back to it. Anyway, so yeah, there we go. Anyway, so yeah, just trying to fix something on my own end here. Anyway, so when I was talking about statistic wise, so what I did is I pulled up the games that I played the most. So let's go full screen. So that should make it a bit easier to read. Nope, that didn't. Do, do, do. And get it out of that. There we go. That's better. So you can actually see it now. Okay, so what I did, I went and figured out all the games that I play, all the things channel-wise that I prefer to do. Uh, so one of them is Final Fantasy VIII. This is a game that I play pretty regularly. I went and figured out the statistics for the last 90 days on what's good about Final Fantasy VIII, how many hours people watch it, uh, how many hours it's broadcast, what the average viewership is, the average number of channels, viewer ratio, max viewers, and how many broadcasters there are. What this tells me over a 90-day period, I can actually look at the statistic and say, hey, Mondays and Fridays, is what I found, are the days that had the highest peaks in the majority of these. So over the 90-day period, that tells me that hours watched, well, it was quite a few. It's an 81.8% drop from the over time. It's a decrease. There's not as many people that have been watching it, but the number of hours is pretty good. It's been increased in hours. Average viewership has decreased. There's about 108 average viewers. It's down quite a bit. Average channels, there's been 8. Literally, there's only 8 average streamers during the 90-day period. It's increased by 2, which means it was at 6. So this is obviously a pretty good game to play because there's really only like 8 channels that have people playing this game on average. Um, Viewer ratios, it's about 13 people that watch at a time. However, the max viewership, which again, this is something that kind of can get skewed pretty easily. Max viewership is 4,400, yeah, quite a bit. Uh, that number is because with this game, it's an older game. There's people that speed run it. If there's a world record that's broken, this jumps through the roof. That's what happened with this. Um, there was a record break on this by only like a minute, but that's where the viewership jumped through the roof on it. But yeah, total number of broadcasters. So this was the average number of channels you'll see over that 90-day period is about 8 of them. That's on at a time. Total broadcasters, though, there's just under 1,400 people that actually broadcast this game. It's up by 12 people. It's not a whole lot of increase. When you go to other ones, such as the Just Chatting is one of the top channels. It ranks in the top 3 on Twitch. So with that, its good days were Tuesdays, Friday, and Saturday. And then breaking down into the statistics, there's a lot here. This is big. Average number of channels. Average number of channels is huge, and it's been a big increase. So with this is something that I was looking at. I decided to go, well, there's Just Chatting. How about I pull up the talk show and podcast as well? Because it's very similar. Um, So I have in here written, I have typed in skewed by 1 day. What this means is that when I was looking at the data, it was showing on one side, it was showing Monday was actually the better day. When I went to another one, it was Tuesday, but when I looked at the time breakdown skews more towards the Tuesday than it does the Monday. Um, Same with the Saturday. The Saturday, it continues into Sunday, but dies off. So Saturday is actually the better day for number of viewership is better on a Saturday than it is a Sunday because it trails off. Um, I'll show you here in a bit where I got these two sites I'm using. I'm only using two sources for this, mainly because there isn't a whole lot of other sources. You can go and try to do this yourself. If you know how to use statistics and data collection, you'd probably be fine. I could do that. I do have background in it, but would not suggest it. I would just suggest using the sites that I'm using here, and you'll probably be fine and be able to figure it out. So like, again, just kind of went through and figured out what are the good days. So I have a couple of them that they overlap in days. The nice thing about an overlap is that if I don't want to play that game for that day, I've got another option. So on Mondays I have Twitch Sing, I have watch parties I could do. I could do some retro. I can stream under retro. So Final Fantasy VIII technically falls into a retro category. I don't have to stream it directly under it. Nothing with that though. I want to be careful because the stream days for Final Fantasy VIII compared to this, if I'm already going to be looking at retro, I might not stream it on a Monday because if Final Fantasy is a Monday game and I get more viewership, I'll technically have a smaller pool of channels to go against because average channels, quite a few here. I have less channels that I have to worry about in Final Fantasy VIII if I stream it that way. Otherwise, if I've got one that only has like like tons of channels as well, same amount, like 200 channels, yeah, I might be better off just hitting it into retro because I might find somebody else that'd be interested and bring them in that way. But the other aspect too is look at the viewerships. So viewer ratios. This is 21.7 viewers on max views, 15,000. So on Monday, as I was just saying, I can now say the opposite. I can go, well, if I'm looking for viewers and I want viewer retention, Monday is going to be better to stream under retro because Final Fantasy VIII on a Monday, that's not a whole lot of people. However, Friday, if I go back down here, Friday is not listed for retro as a positive day. So I definitely don't stream Final Fantasy VIII under retro. What I can do, and what I basically have done, is Mondays, I will stream Final Fantasy VIII for now because that's what I've been doing, and I'm intending to transition into Mondays being my retro day. And then on Friday, my Friday streams will include Final Fantasy VIII and a couple other channels. So, as you can see, Friday is kind of one of those days where Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the weekends, you've got quite a bit that fall in there. So, additionally, the one that I was looking at, because I'm thinking about adding this, is just the Dungeons and Dragons setup. So that's Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. That made sense just as soon as I pulled up the data. I was thinking the exact same thing because it's the weekend. That's when most people are playing Dungeons and Dragons anyway. So, but yeah, this is currently my data for the last 90 days. If you're going to do this, you need to do this yourself. Um, that or if you would like, I could help you out with it. I have no problem doing that, but I need to know exactly what games you are specifically wanting to play or what you stream under. I can then break that down for you and get you a copy that's very similar to this of what are good days, what are bad days. I don't have a problem helping people out with that. Just send me a direct message and we can do that. So what I also did, so this one here is twitchtracker.com. This is my overview page. I can refresh this right now. And it kind of just gives you a baseline of what your performance is. So out of the streamers for the last week, my rank approximately is 236,000. It's an approximate, it's not perfect. Uh, but what this does for you as an individual streamer kind of tells you, hey, where am I at? Am I progressing? Am I decreasing? What's going on with my stats? What this is used for in regards to scheduling, as I was showing over here, you go in, you go up to games, and it shows you all the individual games. So, like I said, just chatting uh, is number one on Twitch right now, and it has been that way for quite a while because if you're just talking, that's the easiest thing to go to. So let's go look at that. And again, Nikki, thank you. It's one of my Facebook follows. I do have my Facebook page attached to this, so I will see occasional follows that are not necessarily attached to Twitch. So, all right. So this is over the last day. This can be adjusted. You can adjust it however you want. You can go monthly and kind of break things down into monthly trackers. This really isn't the spot that you're wanting to look at. You want to scroll down. Okay. Scroll past all the pretty videos, and you want to get to days of the week analysis. So this is where you're going to come to do your comparison. This is not the page I'm showing it first out of the two because there's a lot of good info here. Um, this will tell you, okay, well, you can go to each one of these channels. Understand you're doing this as a networking thing. You're not trying to steal somebody's followership. You're doing this as networking for yourself. My suggestion is if you are going to be doing just chatting, number one, if you just speak English, okay, well, don't look at the Spanish, Portuguese, don't look at their channels, what language they predominantly speak. Um, don't look at those if they're not English. Only look at the English if you're English speaking. If you speak other languages, yeah, you definitely want to be able to look at the other languages because that's going to be important. If you're bilingual, you're going to bilingual or multilingual, you're going to be able to find that you might have a lot better options as far as when to stream. For those of you that are like me, I only speak one language. I also speak American Sign Language. It's not something that's really that useful on here as far as the analytics go. Um, so English is my primary language. With that being the case, I only look at the English speakers. So when I go through this list and I look at languages, okay, English. So I can actually open this guy up, and yeah, it shows that he also speaks Russian. Well, his primary one is here English. It's a secondary. Um, or sorry, ignore that. Ignore what I just said there. What you're looking at is this section right here is the primary speaking language. This over here is language distribution. It tells you how many viewers are based upon that language. So if you're English speaking, you have the highest pool of language speakers. If you are English and Spanish, you also can add this pool in. If you're all three of these, you can add so on and so forth. Figure out which languages you also speak, include that in your stream. A lot of people don't do that. If you do have multi languages that you speak, you actually have more viewership that you can be adding just by putting by putting some tags in there that you speak a different language. Um, anyway, so going back to this, looking at these streamers here. So if I were to look at just one of these first ones here, I could go into their channel and I can see what their schedule is. This will be important in comparison to my stream. If I find that these top 10 people are streaming on specific days at the same time I'm streaming, it might not be good to try and stream because you could just be a really strong competitor. You would have to be a really strong competitor to be able to pull audience away from them. Um, so that's something to be thinking about. If they are not streaming at the same time you are, then that's a great tool to potentially network because they're no longer providing that service. They're not on there doing the same thing. Now you can be. So if you were doing that, you might be able to get them to come and say, hey, yeah, if you're interested in the similar content that I'm creating. Here's this other person that I've recently viewed. They're sharing the very similar content. I'm doing this right now. If you're still interested in that, that's who I'd recommend at this time. It's a perfect networking tool. So again, this section right here, that's got the days of the week analysis. You'll come back to that here, and we'll come back to that here in a minute. But this is where one of the tools that you'll also use. The other one that we would be using is called Solynome.com. Um, Again, you can also pull up your own schedule. Biggest thing here is that when you're looking at the analytics on this, you really need to make sure that you're adjusting the days, because you can get some really false information from being on the wrong thing. So if I put this on just on 3-day, hey, I've got almost a 20% increase in my hours watched, and I've got a 66% increase in my viewers. Hey, I'm doing great right now. Yeah, let's go to the 30-day. That's a bit more accurate. So, 1,500% increase, but yet my average viewers is 1. Okay, I see what's going on. Yeah, I'm not really moving as much as I really think I am when I put it on some of these different numbers. But it's the information with this, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. So, uh, looking at it, knowing what you're actually doing in real life compared to what's on here, um, important when you're looking at it for yourself. Now, the other aspect though is when you go into games. This actually tracks what games you are playing too. This is good to know because then you can see, well, what am I actually pulling? Am I pulling good viewership? When is it I'm streaming? How often do I stream? So my Final Fantasy 8 days, yeah, I'm actually doing pretty good on my Final Fantasy 8 days. If you look, I've got green in all categories for that. My Fallout days, yeah, they're all right. They're a little bit better, but they're actually less amount of hours compared to my Hearthstone. My Hearthstone is actually pretty terrible. Um, that is because I stream Hearthstone a little too much sometimes. This is part of why I made a schedule for myself because there's certain things that I have been doing wrong. This is me realizing, hey, I need to fix this. So if we go over here to the left and go to games, we can also see the exact same things that we saw in the other one. This is why this is good reflection, because the data is going to kind of mirror each other. So if we were looking at this, most watched games, well, it's not really game, it's category of games, is just chatting. Okay, followed by League of Legends. If we go back to the other one, we go all the way back one more. Hey, look, exact same details, pretty much the same. Their analytics are a little bit different, but what they're saying is pretty accurate. Okay, so that's how we know that the data is kind of supported. When you look at things that are trending, most streamed games, this is where most stream hours are. Currently, this is in the 30 day, or it's just in the 3-day. We can go over to the 90-day. If we look, that changes. So this is why it's kind of important to adjust the days, because over the last 90 days, last 3 months, is something what you're really wanting to look more at. Because the last 3 days, I mean, if you're really trying to figure out, like, I don't know what I want to play, what's been trending right now, I'm on my random day. Yeah, a 3-day would probably be good just because it's your random day. You can figure out what's been doing good. Hey, I haven't done slots before. That's trending right now. Hey, what's that? Okay, but if you go to the 30-day, or even the 90-day, but we'll just do 30-day, you have different things that come up. So ultimately, so we'll go to just chatting on both of these, just so we've got the same stuff we're looking at. So the statistics that I drew from are these right here. This is telling me, and I adjusted the right one. So over the 90 days, it has had positive growth over the whole time. So average viewers, it is the number one streaming channel for average viewers. Peak viewer, it has decreased by 1 level. It used to be number 3. Over the last 90 days, it's become 4th. It has held its average channel rank at 5th, and there's no movement. It's stayed there. And then the peak channel rank is fourth, and it's moved up by 5, which means this has actually been progressing um, in all categories. It's been progressing. So the average viewer channel isn't really that big a deal because it's in the top 5. You're really not going to see much wiggle room unless you have like a million spike because they're that closely like numbered to each other. Um, but what you can do now is you can now go back into this bottom section and you can look where all the spikes are: Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. You can see where all these spikes are and just read off the dates, the day of the week that is. The days of the week that has the highest spikes are the days that you might want to think about, hey, that might be a good day to stream. Only because of the fact that, hey, there's already a bunch of viewership already there. And somebody decides to quit streaming, where are they going to go? Will yours bump up? Will you get bumped up? There's possibilities there. So looking at all the different averages and looking at all 4 charts is important, mainly because there's so many different spikes here that might not be the same. So just being mindful of that. So, because I mean, if you look at this, the followers, there's a huge follow spike on April 30th. But if we come over here and we look at April 30th, and they didn't really have anything there. That was all flat, and that was the number of average chatting. So people talking in chat didn't change. There was just a huge spike in followers. Come over here as well, April 30th, and there was a drop actually. So an average viewers, which means a lot of people were going through, dropped a whole bunch of follows on people, but didn't actually watch their channel. So this is where you've got to look at all of the aspects of it and see, okay, that spike doesn't mean anything, honestly. It's just somebody inflated some followers. Okay, doesn't really mean anything about when I should be streaming. So that's where you take all this together. Once you have this figured out, like I said, you figure out what specific days of the week. I mean, you're going to end up with some of them that you might have all but one day. Well, knowing one day that you shouldn't stream on that day is actually good to know because, well, now you know. Don't stream on that day. I'm actually going to be hurting myself if I'm streaming on that day. You can then take that data and come back over here. So we kind of already knew about it, but when we look at it, most of the days are pretty tight with each other. There isn't much wiggle room. But if we look Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, well, we'll look over here. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come back over here. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So you technically have, well, let's not stream on Wednesday for sure, because Wednesday is one of the lowest points. And you look at it, lowest number right there. Lowest number. Well, almost the second lowest. It's the third lowest number. It's pretty low, but again, lowest number. So Wednesdays is definitely not the day to be doing this. Okay, so just chatting on Wednesdays, probably not the place to be. You should probably do something else. Uh, Again, this is where you can go in. You can figure this out too by looking at some of these other streamers, seeing what they're doing. So, but yeah, that's what I did here. Reason why I basically pulled these two things together, so that I can sit down and I go, okay, what do I want to do on Monday? What's open for Mondays? Well, Mondays. Okay, so I got Final Fantasy VIII. However, there's not a whole lot of viewership there on Mondays. What else is open on Mondays? Retro. Retro is good because I can stream Final Fantasy VIII under Retro, so maybe there. Oh, watch parties. Okay. Well, I already. Oh, look. Watch party. Well, I do a Wednesday watch party. So this is an interesting one. I actually do a Wednesday watch party. It's not a good day to do watch parties. However, I don't stream it as a watch party on Twitch. On Wednesdays, I stream it as a talk show podcast because literally we're providing commentary over top of the shows that we're watching. So it is actually a Wednesday thing that we do, but I do it under talk shows and podcasts. Yes, that's a little bit less than channels and viewers because if you come back down here, or sorry, your viewer ratio is less. Um, channels, there's less channels here. So this might get you spotlighted more if you did it on one of these other days, but the actual viewership for what I'm wanting is going to be on the Wednesdays. So it's just other aspects to look at. So watch parties, if I was wanting to do a watch party and I decide, you know what, Retros isn't doing it for me today because I've got Final Fantasy or Retro. I mean, that's really all I've got. Well, it's a Monday. I can do a watch party. I could just put it under watch parties and I could be playing Final Fantasy 8, or I could put it under watch parties and just play some Hearthstone or whatever that doesn't necessarily conflict with what I'm doing. So you can do a couple things with your stream this way. So, yep. Another thing is Twitch Sings. This is one that I'm getting into is karaoke. Uh, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturday. Those are the only 3 days on that. So, but yeah, just some thoughts on how to work through that piece too. So,